Hi there. Can I talk to you for a little bit?
You have to come inside right now. There were 4 of them.
What do we say? You shouldn't make things up when we're talking about...
Can you open the door, please?
Bienvenidos and welcome to a High Ground Movie Review. I'm Tina, joined by none other than the handsome Henry.
Hey.
Today we're discussing Knock at the Cabin, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, hit the thumbs up, and share with your buds. Make sure you let us know in the comments below what your favorite M. Night Shyamalan movie is. We love to hear from you. Now let's get into it. While vacationing at a remote cabin in the woods, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by 4 armed strangers who demand they make an unthinkable choice to avert the apocalypse. Confused, scared, and with limited access to the outside world, the family must decide what they believe before all is lost.
The story centers around a hypothetical ethical question of would you sacrifice yourself or someone you love for the sake of humanity? It's basically portraying a philosophical and psychological experiment and asking the characters and its audience whether humanity is worth the sacrifice and whether you're willing to make it. We love the different opinions shared by the characters and the different reactions this question caused. Beyond the critical question the movie is asking, the actors and storytelling, cinematography, music, and directing really elevated the story in our eyes.
All of the actors did a great job in their roles, especially with having to play such a range of emotions from the get-go. But Dave Bautista outshined everyone, honestly. His demeanor and character's personality is a clash to his physicality, causing us to really doubt him from the beginning, just as our main characters, Wen, Adrian, and Eric do. From his calm demeanor and heartfelt delivery of his lines, we won't be surprised to see Bautista continue to rise in the ranks of Hollywood. I have to mention the chemistry and relationship between Jonathan Groff as Daddy Eric and Ben Aldridge as Daddy Andrew was really beautiful and was a great casting call.
As divisive of a director and writer that M. Night has become throughout his career, he took this chance to really prove his ability of drawing in the audience through tension and suspense with his masterful camera work and use of depth and lighting. M. Night has always been in the realm of spooky and spiritual, but usually his movies fall within one or the other. But this movie masterfully blends the two together, allowing Shyamalan to really use his entire arsenal of skills to the best of his ability.
Some of our favorite scenes and moments of this movie, for me personally, really came at the start of the film. I really did like the pacing of the first act. Like, it felt like it was just everything was on purpose. Everything had a set that it had to hit, a mark that it had to hit to be able to flow so well. And it did it so masterfully, and it really built the suspense and the question, and really you weren't certain if this was just a death cult or if this was legit, like this is something that they really truly believed or were seeing. And so
yeah,
within that first act, it really that really stands out for me as probably the best part of this film, personally.
I agree, because the opening scene shows you and tells you almost everything you need to know without giving too much information, because it causes you to feel eerie and creepy, but there's still a sense of like wonder and calm based off of the background and how Wen is reacting. I mean, it also set up how M. Night is telling the story, because you had a lot of close-ups, really close shots, and there were rarely any instances of long shots, and when they were long, they were really eerie, right? There was a sense of like disbelief, like what could be out there.
Yeah.
So absolutely. And speaking of like the way M. Night showed this story, there was a lot of amazing camera work, as we mentioned. Definitely one of our favorite aspects of the movie was how many angles they used, the way they closed in on characters and showed their face. So you were clear on their reactions. Again, we were put in the perspective of the main characters. And so it was really important for us, along with the family, to determine whether they were telling the truth or not.
Yeah.
And so the close-ups, the way they kind of showed you not just their face, but like their body movements as well, all helped the main characters and us as the audience believe in their story and also get really invested in this story of the movie.
Yeah, definitely. And I liked how it just held on certain shots where it didn't move with the action that was going on in the background, even though that's where your eye was going. It kept it between the foreground and the background, and it really gave the film a sense of depth. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like when we watch this movie again, we'll probably notice more things in the background that we did the first time around.
Right.
Because our eye is so focused on different things going on, but it feels like everything is so important because they even make a point, like, there's not much time.
Yes, and there's a lot of stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of crazy to think, because again, we're all contained in this cabin, and there's only so much that could happen. There's so much stillness, but yet the movement happening in the background is what really, like, causes the characters to feel scared.
Mm-hmm.
Causes us to think like, oh man, these people, maybe they're a bit out of their minds, or
Yeah.
you know, we really don't know what's going on until later, where everything, I think, clashes.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does clash in that final act,
Mm-hmm.
in the last, like, what, maybe 30 minutes of the movie, there is a final decision. We won't spoil it, but the way it's told, and like how the camera moves with the two characters, the lighting, the music, it's so intense and almost really beautiful, because it is a clash of opinions. It's a clash of two different ideologies. Again, going back to the spiritualness of the movie, it was just done very beautifully. Definitely another favorite moment. I love that our favorite moments was the beginning, and then that special moment at the end where the final decision was made. Some of our least favorite moments, though, was definitely the pace.
Yeah, there was a little bit of after that first act, it starts off so hot, and then it takes like a break, but it's not really a break because there's not really anything that happens in between, like, between that space, right? It's literally just a cut, and then you're there again back into the action. So it just kind of threw things off, and it started with such a sense of urgency,
Right.
and then for it to all of a sudden stop and be able to, as the audience, you need it to sit, but as part of the story, I felt like, oh, why would it be so abrupt like that, right?
Kind of the reasoning behind the waiting game, because there was a pause. And it's not really explained, and you could call it movie magic, the way we just had to believe that this is what they needed to do. But it was abrupt for sure. Again, the story was really contained, you know, although the reaction of the decisions and the reason why they were there was all about everyone else and about the world they were on, you know, in. We only ever stayed in the cabin, and I think that could not, you know, kind of knock it down a bit.
Yeah, for a couple people, like
some people.
I feel like I know for the story beats, you don't need to go outside of the cabin because they want to tell this story.
You don't need to know. You don't. And I even told you that the way they showed us what was going around in the world could have also been done a bit more realistically. Because, like, we are in a cabin in the woods, and so it's kind of hard to believe that they have cable. They cut off their, you know, telephone lines, and they had no Wi-Fi, I guess, and they didn't have any reception. Who knows? But what I'm saying is, like, the reality of how they were showing us the world was a bit of a stretch as well. So I think they could have probably done a bit more to make us believe what was going on.
Yeah.
Besides those, though, we had way more favorite moments than least favorite moments.
It was definitely a fun ride throughout the whole hour and 40 minutes of the runtime for this movie. I definitely felt like the pacing was not great, but it was understandable with the story that they were trying to tell.
Yeah.
It definitely feels a little nitpicky. We really did enjoy this movie. So although a few of the beats fell flat and points felt either too rushed or too slow, Knock at the Cabin surpassed our expectations.
Totally.
And delivered a spectacular performance by Bautista. I mean, I can't stop talking enough about this. Like, this is the best role he's been in.
Absolutely.
With a spooky and suspenseful vibe clash with the spiritual themes, this movie is definitely one that only M. Night Shyamalan could have directed. And yeah, I agree 100%. Although most of his filmography plays on fear and suspense, this movie really shines the light on faith and belief. In all, we give Knock at the Cabin a 8 out of 10.
Let us know in the comments if you caught this movie in theaters, and if not, what was the last movie you watched in theaters? And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe and share with your buds.
Thanks for talking movies with us. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Bye.